Welcome back to Sports Class with Dr. K. It's late November, and that can mean only one thing. The Warriors are just a few months from missing the NBA playoffs. It's still early in the season, so lots can change, but it certainly does look like the NBA's latest dynasty is on its way to a crashing halt. So who's going to fill that void? What teams look primed to make a big improvement after last season? Everyone expects the Clippers and the Lakers to be much better than last year, but they'd have a long way to go to come anywhere close to the teams we're going to talk about today. The teams who've made the biggest single-season improvements in NBA history. One factor fueling NBA turnarounds these days are the host of free agents that change teams every season. In the past, though, it was more likely a draft pick, or maybe one free agent, or even a new coach that meant big improvement for teams. So today we're going to look at the 5 biggest single-season turnarounds in NBA history. Number 5, the Phoenix Suns of 2004-05. This team had one of the biggest improvements ever if we just look at win differential. They improved by an incredible 33 wins from the previous year, from 29-53 to 62-20. The biggest addition was Steve Nash, who ended up winning back-to-back MVP awards and cemented a Hall of Fame legacy with this team. Nash was aided by the return to form of Amari Stoudemire, who spent much of the previous season on the injured list. The Suns lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Spurs that year, and while this team never won an NBA title, they were a force in the Western Conference for years to come. Number 4. The Milwaukee Bucks in 1969 to 1970. One word: Kareem. In 1968-69, the expansion team Milwaukee Bucks won a respectable 27 games in their first season, with a decent roster, including 8 players who averaged double-digit points. That record landed them the first overall pick in the next season's draft, and they selected the most dominant player in NCAA history, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was still known as Lou Alcindor at that time. Kareem was an instant star, averaging almost 29 points and 15 rebounds per game as a rookie, and he was a dominant force on the defensive end. The team improved to 56-26 that year and lost to the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. The following season, the Bucks added another superstar, Oscar Robertson, and swept to the best record in the NBA and the NBA title. What else happened in 1970, you wonder? The Beatles broke up. Number 3, the Boston Celtics in 1979 to 1980. One word: Larry. Or Bird. Larry Bird. Okay, 2 words. The Boston Celtics had fallen from their championship tradition of the 1960s to the worst record in the league in 1979. But help was on the way. The Celtics had already drafted Larry Bird with the 6th overall pick in the 1978 draft. Bird finished up his college career, leading the Indiana State Sycamores to a 33-0 record and the NCAA championship game, an instant classic where they lost to Michigan State and Magic Johnson. Bird instantly transformed the Celtics, leading the team in scoring, rebounds, steals, and assists on his way to winning Rookie of the Year honors. A respectable supporting cast of Dave Cowens, Cedric Maxwell, and Nate Archibald helped the team improve by an incredible 32 wins to a 61-21 record. And while they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to Dr.J and the 76ers that year, the following season they added Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, forming the core of a team that won the NBA title that next year and several more in the 1980s. For more information about Larry Bird and those great Celtics teams, check out our previous video about the Lakers and Celtics rivalry. Number 2. Actually, I'm going to give you a twofer here. The San Antonio Spurs in 1989 to 90 and the San Antonio Spurs 7 years later in 1997 to 98. The Spurs drafted David Robinson with the number 1 overall pick in the 1987 draft, but the star player spent the next 2 years fulfilling his service in the Navy. The Spurs could hardly wait for his return, as they had sunk to a record of 21-61 in 1989. Robinson added instant power to the Spurs, averaging 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks per game on his way to Rookie of the Year honors. That team lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Portland Trail Blazers, but with Robinson leading the way, they were on one of the top teams in the Western Conference for years to come. Which leads us to part 2, the San Antonio Spurs in 97 and 98. David Robinson spent nearly the entire 1996-97 season on the injured list, and the team slid to 20-62. That put them in position for the number 1 draft pick once again, and they used that pick on Tim Duncan. Duncan teamed with Robinson for the next several years as a tandem known as the Twin Towers. Interestingly, both players averaged just about 21 points and 11 rebounds that season, as Duncan cruised to Rookie of the Year honors. Another interesting note, that team included 3 future NBA head coaches among their players: Avery Johnson, Monty Williams, and Vinny Del Negro. The team lost to the Utah Jazz in the conference semifinals, but they won the NBA title the next season on their way to launching one of sports' greatest dynasties. Number 1. If you've been keeping score, surely you know who's going to be number 1 on this list. The 2007-2008 Boston Celtics. 1 word: Kevin Garnett. Okay, 2 words: Ray Allen. Wait, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo. There's no way to summarize this team in just 1 or 2 words. The Boston Celtics, the NBA's proudest franchise, was a far cry from its championship form in 2006-2007. It had been 21 seasons since their last title, and they were near the bottom of the NBA rankings at 24-58. Then, Celtics general manager Danny Ainge engineered the greatest single-season turnaround in NBA history. Through a series of trades, he added superstar big man Kevin Garnett, who went on to be that season's Defensive Player of the Year. He also added Ray Allen, the top 3-point shooter in the NBA at that time. Those two joined Paul Pierce, who was already a perennial all-star with the Celtics. The team improved by an incredible 42 games to a league-best record of 66-16. And fueled by the remarkable postseason blossoming of second-year star Rajon Rondo, they won the NBA championship that year. This makes them not only the team with the biggest win differential turnaround, but also the only team on this list to win the NBA title that same season. So that's it, the 5 biggest turnarounds in NBA history. Let me know if you've got another one to add to this list. And stay tuned in a future episode when I look at the biggest in-season turnarounds in NBA history. So, if your team is coming off a rough season and looking to improve, keep these single-season turnarounds in mind. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.